On a gray autumn morning in Boston, Noah Hayes sat frozen in his car outside a towering corporate building, divorce papers still warm in his briefcase, when his phone buzzed with a message that would unravel everything he thought he knew about survival. The CEO, cold, brilliant, untouchable Aurora Vale, wanted to see him. Now. What started as a meeting became an assignment. What became an assignment turned into late-night drives to secret medical appointments. And what should have stayed professional became the most complicated decision of his life when she asked him, voice barely steady, to marry her. Not for love, for protection. Or so they both tried to believe. If you're watching from across the world, drop a like and comment with your city name. I want to see how far Noah and Aurora's story travels. The divorce had been finalized at 11:47 p.m. the night before. Noah Hayes knew the exact time because he'd been staring at his phone when the email came through, sitting in his daughter's darkened bedroom while she slept. The lawyer's message was brief, clinical. All documents executed, proceedings complete. Best wishes for your future. Best wishes. He'd read it 3 times, then set the phone face down on Lily's nightstand and listened to her breathe. 6 years old. Blonde hair splayed across her pillow. She didn't know yet that the papers were signed, that the thing her mother kept calling temporary was now permanent and irreversible. Noah hadn't slept. He'd gone through the motions, shower, coffee, the usual routine, but his hands felt disconnected from his body, his thoughts sluggish and gray. By the time he pulled into the parking garage beneath the Valerius Corporation Tower at 8:15 a.m., he was running on fumes and spite. The garage smelled like exhaust and cold concrete. Noah sat in his car with the engine off, staring at the steering wheel. He had 17 emails waiting, a presentation due by noon, a client call at 2, Lily's parent-teacher conference at 4:30, which he'd probably have to reschedule because his ex-wife, Vanessa, had suddenly decided that co-parenting meant she showed up when convenient and disappeared when it wasn't. His phone buzzed. He almost ignored it. Then he saw the name, Aurora Vale. His stomach dropped. Aurora Vale didn't send messages. She didn't make calls. She had assistants for that, layers of people whose entire job was to insulate her from the regular operations of the company she'd built from nothing. Noah had worked at Valerius for 4 years and had never spoken to her directly. He'd seen her, of course, at quarterly meetings, in the elevator once, passing through the lobby, with her security detail in tow. But she existed in a different atmosphere, untouchable and precise. The message was 3 words. 19th floor. Now. Noah's hands tightened on the steering wheel. The 19th floor was executive territory. He worked on the 7th. His entire department worked on the 7th. There was no reason for him to be summoned upstairs unless something had gone catastrophically wrong, and he couldn't think of anything he'd done that warranted this kind of attention. He got out of the car. The elevator ride felt endless. Soft jazz played overhead. A woman in a sharp gray suit stood beside him, scrolling through her tablet, unbothered. Noah tried to steady his breathing. His reflection in the polished steel doors looked haggard. Dark circles, jaw tight, wrinkled collar he hadn't noticed until now. The doors opened. The 19th floor was a different world. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Charles River. The furniture was minimalist, expensive, the kind of design that screamed money without saying a word. A receptionist with perfect posture glanced up from her desk. Noah Hayes? Yeah. Ms. Vale is expecting you. Last door on the right. He followed the corridor, footsteps muffled by thick carpet. The last door was already open. Aurora Vale sat behind a glass desk, backlit by the gray Boston skyline. She didn't look up when he entered. Close the door. Noah obeyed. She was younger than most people expected. 30, maybe 31, but she carried herself like someone who'd stopped caring about age a long time ago. Dark hair pulled into a tight, low bun. Charcoal suit, tailored to perfection. No jewelry except a thin silver watch. Her face was angular, striking in a way that photographs never quite captured. She had the kind of beauty that made people nervous. She set down her pen and looked at him. Sit. Noah sat. Her eyes were pale gray, unsettling in their clarity. She studied him the way someone might study a contract, searching for flaws. Do you know why you're here? No. Good. That means you're not arrogant. Noah said nothing. Aurora leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled. I'm assigning you to the Hartwell account. He blinked. I'm sorry? You heard me? The Hartwell account is a disaster. Yes. She tilted her head slightly. It's been bleeding money for 6 months. 3 account managers have tried to salvage it. All 3 failed. The client is hostile, unreasonable, and on the verge of terminating the contract, which would cost us approximately $12 million. Noah's throat went dry. And you want me to fix it? Why me? Aurora's expression didn't change. Because everyone else is afraid of failure. You've already failed. The words landed like a slap. She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. Noah's divorce wasn't public knowledge, but people talked. Offices always talked. He'd taken 3 personal days last month. He'd left early twice. His performance reviews were still solid, but there'd been a shift, subtle, but there. People noticed. I don't have time for people who need their hands held, Aurora continued. I need someone who can think without asking permission. Someone who has nothing left to lose. Noah stared at her. That's a hell of an assumption. Is it wrong? He didn't answer. Aurora slid a slim folder across the desk. The client's meeting you tomorrow at 10. Review the file. Don't embarrass me. Noah took the folder. His hands were steadier than he expected. That's all, Aurora said, her attention already shifting back to her computer. Noah stood, hesitated. Can I ask you something? She didn't look up. No. He left. The Hartwell account was worse than he'd imagined. Noah spent the rest of the day locked in a conference room going through the file. Contracts, emails, performance reports, complaints. The client, Hartwell Industries, a mid-sized manufacturing firm, had signed with Valorous 2 years ago for supply chain optimization. The relationship had soured almost immediately. Miscommunication, missed deadlines, a rotating cast of account managers who either didn't listen or didn't care. The current point of contact was a man named Richard Hartwell, son of the company's founder. From the email threads, Richard was blunt, impatient, and deeply unimpressed with Valorous. His last message to the previous account manager had been 2 sentences. You people are incompetent. I'm done. That was 3 weeks ago. Noah rubbed his eyes. It was almost 6. He needed to pick up Lily. He grabbed his coat and headed for the elevator. The building was quieter now, most people gone for the day. He was halfway to the parking garage when his phone buzzed again. Aurora Vale. He stopped. Driver's out sick. Need a ride. Garage. 5 minutes. Noah stared at the message. This wasn't a request. It wasn't even phrased like one. He thought about ignoring it. He thought about saying no. Instead, he turned around and headed back down to the garage. Aurora was waiting by a black sedan, arms crossed. She looked irritated. You're late. You texted me 4 minutes ago. And yet, she gestured toward the car. You're driving. Noah unlocked the doors. Aurora slid into the passenger seat without a word, her movements economical, controlled. She buckled her seatbelt and pulled out her phone. Where am I going? Noah asked. She rattled off an address in Cambridge, somewhere near the river. Noah pulled out of the garage and into traffic. The city was clogged with evening commuters, brake lights stretching down Boylston Street. Aurora didn't speak. She typed, scrolled, ignored him completely. After 10 minutes, Noah broke the silence. Can I ask why your driver's out? No. Can I ask why you didn't just call a car service? No. Noah gripped the wheel tighter. You're a real conversationalist. Aurora glanced at him. Her expression didn't shift, but something flickered in her eyes. Amusement, maybe. Or annoyance. Hard to tell. You talk when you're uncomfortable, she said. I talk when the silence is weird. The silence isn't weird. You're just not used to it. Noah didn't respond. She went back to her phone. They drove in silence the rest of the way. The address led to a nondescript medical building near MYT. Aurora didn't explain. She simply got out of the car, glanced back at him and said, Wait here. How long? However long it takes. She disappeared through the glass doors. Noah sat in the car, engine idling, watching the building. It was almost 7 now. He texted Vanessa, running late. Can you grab Lily? The reply came fast. I'm out of town. Didn't I tell you? No, she hadn't. Noah called his neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who sometimes watched Lily in emergencies. She picked up on the third ring. Noah? I'm so sorry to ask last minute, but say no more. I'll get her from aftercare. She can have dinner with us. You're a lifesaver. You owe me cookies. He hung up, exhaled. One crisis managed. He looked back at the building. The lights inside were clinical, fluorescent. Through the glass, he could see a receptionist at a desk, a hallway leading deeper inside. No sign of Aurora. 20 minutes passed. Then 40. Noah's phone buzzed. A text from Lily, sent from Mrs. Chen's phone. Hi, Daddy. When are you coming home? His chest tightened. Soon, sweetheart. Be good for Mrs. Chen. Okay, I love you. I love you too. He set the phone down, stared at the building again. An hour and 10 minutes after she'd gone inside, Aurora emerged. She walked briskly, face unreadable, and got into the car without a word. Noah pulled back into traffic. You okay? He asked. Drive. Her voice was clipped, harder than before. Noah didn't push. They were halfway back to the office when Aurora spoke again, quieter this time. You have a daughter. It wasn't a question. Yeah, Noah said. Lily, she's 6. Aurora was silent for a moment, then, does she live with you? Most of the time. Her mom and I just finalized the divorce. Recently? Last night? Aurora turned to look at him. For the first time, her expression softened, just slightly, barely perceptible. That why you look like hell? Noah almost laughed. Probably. She didn't respond. She looked out the window, and they finished the drive in silence. When they reached the Valerie's tower, Aurora got out, then paused. Tomorrow, she said. Same time, same place. Noah frowned. Your driver will still be out? For how long? Aurora's gaze was steady, unreadable. As long as it takes. She walked away before he could respond. The meeting with Richard Hartwell was a disaster. Noah had prepared. He'd read every email, every report, every contract amendment. He'd built a new strategy, streamlined communication, transparent timelines, a dedicated point of contact. He walked into Hartwell's office confident, ready. Richard Hartwell was a brick wall. I don't care about your new strategy, Richard said, leaning back in his chair. He was mid-50s, graying at the temples, with the kind of permanent scowl that came from years of disappointment. I've heard this pitch 3 times. Different face, same corporate bullshit. I understand your frustration, Noah said calmly. But if you look at the revised timeline, I don't want a timeline. I want results. Then let me deliver them. Richard snorted. You've got 2 weeks. If I don't see improvement, we're done. And when I say done, I mean I'm taking my business to Garrison. Garrison was Valoris's biggest competitor. Noah kept his expression neutral. Understood. Good. Now get out. Noah left the office, jaw tight. 2 weeks. It wasn't enough time to turn around an account this broken, but it was what he had. He spent the next 3 days buried in work. Calls, emails, site visits. He renegotiated timelines with the operations team, pushed back on unrealistic demands, built a direct line of communication with Hartwell's logistics manager. It was exhausting, frustrating, but slowly, very slowly, things started to shift. On the 4th day, Richard Hartwell sent an email. Not terrible. Keep going. It wasn't praise. But it wasn't a termination notice either. Noah exhaled. Jesse. Every evening he drove Aurora to Cambridge. She never explained why. She never told him what the building was, what she was doing inside. And Noah didn't ask. It wasn't his business. But he noticed things. The way she moved slower some days. The way her hands sometimes trembled when she got back into the car. The way she closed her eyes during the drive, face drawn, like she was holding something back. One night, after a particularly long wait, she got into the car and didn't put on her seatbelt. She just sat there, staring straight ahead. You okay? Noah asked. Drive. Aurora. I said drive. Her voice cracked, just slightly. Noah put the car in gear and pulled out onto the street. They drove in silence for 10 minutes. Then Aurora spoke, so quietly he almost didn't hear. I'm sick. Noah's hands tightened on the wheel. He didn't look at her. How sick? Sick enough that it matters. Are you? He stopped, unsure how to ask. I'm getting treatment, Aurora said. It's working. Mostly. Does anyone know? No. And it stays that way. Noah nodded slowly. Okay. I mean it, Noah. If this gets out, if the board finds out, if the press finds out, it's over. Everything I built. Gone. I won't say anything. Aurora finally looked at him. Her eyes were tired, raw in a way he'd never seen. Why are you helping me? Noah thought about it. I don't know. Maybe because you didn't have to give me the Hartwell account. Maybe because you're the only person who's been honest with me in months. I wasn't being kind. I was being practical. I know, but it still helped. Aurora leaned her head back against the seat, closed her eyes. You're a strange man, Noah Hayes. Yeah, I get that a lot. But 2 weeks turned into 3, then 4. The Hartwell account stabilized. Not perfect, but functional. Richard Hartwell stopped threatening to leave and started asking questions, which Noah took as progress. Aurora watched from a distance, never commenting directly, but Noah caught her reading his reports, her expression unreadable. The drives continued. Some nights Aurora talked, brief, fragmented pieces of her life. Other nights she was silent, and Noah learned not to fill the quiet. One evening in late October, after a particularly rough treatment, Aurora got into the car and just sat there, hands shaking. I can't do this anymore, she said. Noah looked at her. Yes, you can. You don't know that. I know you've done it every week for the past month. I know you haven't missed a single board meeting. I know you're tougher than anyone I've ever met. Aurora laughed, bitter. Tough, right. I'm serious. She turned to him, eyes sharp despite the exhaustion. Why do you care? Noah didn't have a good answer. He just knew that somewhere between the late-night drives and the quiet conversations, something had shifted. She wasn't just his boss anymore. She was someone he didn't want to see break. Because you're not doing this alone, he said finally. Aurora stared at him for a long moment. Then she looked away. Take me home, Dad. November came cold and sharp. Lily started asking questions. Why are you always late, Daddy? Work, sweetheart. Do you like your work? Noah paused, crouched in front of her while she put on her shoes. Sometimes. Do you like your boss? He didn't know how to answer that. She's complicated. Lily frowned, thoughtful. Is she mean? No, not mean, just serious. Does she smile? Not really. Maybe she's sad. Noah blinked. Maybe. Lily finished tying her shoes, looked up at him with those wide, too smart eyes. You should make her smile, Daddy. Everyone needs smiles. Listen. In mid-November, Aurora collapsed. Noah was waiting in the car when it happened. He'd been scrolling through emails, half distracted, when the building's front door opened and a nurse rushed out, waving him down. Are you with Ms. Vale? Noah's stomach dropped. Yes. She needs help, now. He followed the nurse inside. Aurora was sitting in a chair in the hallway, pale, breathing shallow. A doctor stood beside her, talking in low, urgent tones. I'm fine, Aurora said, but her voice was weak. You're not fine, the doctor snapped. You're dehydrated and your blood pressure is dangerously low. You need to go to the hospital. No. Ms. Vale, I said no. The doctor looked at Noah, exasperated. Can you talk sense into her? Noah crouched in front of Aurora. Her eyes were unfocused, but she met his gaze. You need to go, he said quietly. I can't. Yes, you can. If I go to a hospital, people will find out. Then we'll find a private facility, but you're not going home like this. Aurora's jaw tightened. For a moment, he thought she'd fight him. Then she nodded, barely. Okay. They admitted her to a small private clinic just outside the city. No press, no visitors. Just Noah, sitting in the hallway outside her room while doctors ran tests. It was past midnight when the doctor finally came out. She'll be okay, he said, but she needs rest, real rest. She's been pushing herself too hard. She doesn't know how to stop. The doctor smiled grimly. Then someone needs to make her. Noah was allowed in after an hour. Aurora was awake, propped up on pillows, an IV in her arm. She looked furious. "Don't," she said before he could speak. "Don't what?" "Lecture me." Noah pulled a chair up beside the bed, sat down. "I wasn't going to." "Liar." He smiled faintly. "Okay, maybe a little." Aurora closed her eyes. "I hate this. I know. I hate being weak." "You're not weak. You're human." She opened her eyes, looked at him. "Is there a difference?" Noah didn't have an answer. They sat in silence for a while. Then Aurora spoke again, quieter. "Thank you. For tonight." "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do." She hesitated. "You could have left. Most people would have." "I'm not most people." "No." Aurora's gaze was steady, searching. "You're not." She was released 2 days later. Noah drove her home. Not to the office, but to her apartment in Back Bay. It was the first time he'd seen where she lived, sleek, modern, almost sterile. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, expensive furniture that looked unused. "You want help getting upstairs?" Noah asked. "I can manage." But she didn't move. She just sat in the car, staring at the building. "I don't want to go in," she said finally. "Why not?" "Because it's empty." The words hung between them. Noah turned off the engine. "You want to get coffee or something?" Aurora looked at him, surprised. "It's almost midnight." "So?" A small smile tugged at the corner of her mouth, the first real smile he'd ever seen from her. "Okay." They found a diner still open in Kenmore Square, sat in a booth by the window, ordered coffee and pie neither of them touched. "Tell me about Lily," Aurora said. Noah blinked. "What do you want to know?" "Anything?" So he told her. About Lily's obsession with dinosaurs. About the way she insisted on wearing mismatched socks because it made her feel interesting. About the time she'd cried for an hour because she thought the moon was lonely. Aurora listened, and for the first time she looked relaxed, almost peaceful. "She sounds wonderful," Aurora said quietly. "She is." "You're lucky." "I know." Aurora stared into her coffee. "I never wanted kids. Too much risk, too much vulnerability. And now?" She looked up at him. "Now I think maybe I was wrong." They stayed until the diner closed. The next morning, Noah woke to find 17 missed calls from work. He sat up in bed, heart hammering, and checked the messages. They were all from the same number, Aurora's assistant, Monica. The texts were increasingly frantic. Ms. Vale didn't show for the 8 a.m. board meeting. "She's not answering her phone." "Do you know where she is?" Noah called Aurora. It went straight to voicemail. He threw on clothes and drove to her apartment, breaking at least 3 traffic laws on the way. When he got there, the doorman recognized him from the night before and waved him through without questions. Aurora answered on the 5th knock, looking worse than he'd ever seen her. Still in yesterday's clothes, hair loose around her shoulders, face drawn. "You look terrible," Noah said. "Good morning to you too." "You missed the board meeting." Aurora leaned against the doorframe. "I know. Monica's losing her mind. I know. Are you planning to go in today?" Aurora was quiet for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. "Come in." The apartment looked different in daylight, less sterile, more lived in. There were books stacked on the coffee table, a blanket crumpled on the couch, a half-empty mug of tea gone cold on the kitchen counter. Aurora sat down heavily, like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. "I can't keep doing this," she said. Noah sat across from her. "Doing what?" "Pretending, acting like everything's fine when it's not." She looked at him, and her eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. "I'm tired, Noah. I'm so tired." He didn't know what to say, so he just sat there, letting the silence settle. After a while, Aurora spoke again, quieter. "The treatment's not working as well as they hoped. The doctors want to try something more aggressive, but it means more time off, more appointments, and I can't—" Her voice caught. "I can't let the board see me like this." "Why not?" "Because the second they think I'm weak, they'll push me out. Especially Marcus." Marcus Chen was the CFO, ambitious and calculating. Noah had seen him at a few meetings, always watching, always measuring. They can't push you out, Noah said. You own the company. I own 43%. The rest is split between investors and board members. If they vote together, I'm done. Aurora rubbed her face. And Marcus has been waiting for an opening. The second I show vulnerability, he'll take it. Noah leaned forward. Then don't give him one. How? I can barely get out of bed some mornings. So we figure it out. You take the treatment, you rest when you need to, and we make sure the board doesn't notice. Aurora laughed, bitter. That's impossible. Maybe. But what's the alternative? She didn't answer. Noah stood up, walked to the window. The city stretched out below, cold and gray under November clouds. You need help, real help, not just someone driving you to appointments. I don't need... Yes, you do. And I'm offering. Aurora stared at him. Why? Because no one should have to do this alone. You barely know me. I know enough. She looked away, jaw tight. For a moment he thought she'd shut down, push him away like she did everyone else. Then she exhaled, slow and shaky. Okay. Okay? I'll try. The new treatment. But I need you to cover for me. If anyone asks, I'm working remotely, focusing on the European expansion. Whatever sounds believable. I can do that. Aurora met his eyes. This stays between us. I know. She nodded and something in her posture softened. Not much, but enough. Thank you, she said quietly. Noah didn't tell her it wasn't just about kindness. Somewhere over the past few weeks, something had shifted. He cared what happened to her. Not because she was his boss, not because she'd given him a chance when no one else would. But because beneath all the armor and control, she was just a person trying not to drown. And he knew exactly what that felt like. He drove her to Cambridge that afternoon for the consultation about the new treatment. The doctor was younger than Noah expected, sharp-eyed and direct. She explained the protocol. More intensive, higher risk, but better odds. You'll need someone with you for the first few weeks, the doctor said. The side effects can be severe. Fatigue, nausea, dizziness. You shouldn't be alone. Aurora's expression didn't change. That won't be a problem. The doctor glanced at Noah. Are you family? Aurora hesitated. He's helping me. The doctor nodded slowly, like she'd seen this before. People with no one else, pulling together makeshift support from wherever they could find it. All right, we'll start next week. Monday morning, 8 a.m., plan for the whole day. They left the building in silence. Aurora got into the car and closed her eyes. You okay? Noah asked. No, but I will be. He believed her. That night, after he put Lily to bed, Noah sat at his kitchen table and made a list. Doctor's appointments, treatment schedules, board meetings. Aurora couldn't miss. Client calls he could handle on her behalf. It was complicated, messy, and probably impossible. But he'd figure it out. His phone buzzed. Aurora. Thank you for today. He stared at the message for a moment, then typed back. Anytime. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then appeared again. I mean it. I don't know what I'd do without you. Noah set the phone down, something tight in his chest. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Aurora started the new treatment, and it hit her harder than anyone expected. The first session left her so weak she could barely walk. Noah drove her home, helped her upstairs, made sure she had food and water before he left. I'm fine, she kept saying, even when she clearly wasn't. You're stubborn, Noah corrected. Same thing. During the day, he juggled work and Lily's schedule, fielding emails and calls while sitting in her school parking lot. The Hartwell account demanded constant attention. Richard Hartwell had warmed up slightly, but he still called at random hours with questions and complaints. Your response time is improving, Richard said one afternoon. I'm almost impressed. Almost? Don't push your luck, Hayes. Noah smiled despite himself. Progress. At night, after Lily was asleep, he drove to Aurora's apartment and checked on her. Sometimes she was awake, sitting by the window with a book she wasn't reading. Sometimes she was asleep on the couch, TV murmuring in the background. He never stayed long, just long enough to make sure she was breathing, that she had what she needed. One night, she caught him before he could leave. You don't have to keep doing this. Noah paused at the door. I know. Then why do you? He thought about it. Because you do the same for me. Aurora smiled faintly. You don't know that. Yeah, I do. She didn't argue. The third week, Lily started asking more questions. Where do you go at night, Daddy? Just helping a friend? What kind of friend? Noah crouched down, eye level with her. Someone who's going through a hard time. Lily frowned, thinking, is she sick? Yeah, she is. Is she going to be okay? I think so. Lily considered this, then hugged him tight. You're a good helper, Daddy. Noah held her close, throat tight. Thanks, sweetheart. Can I meet her someday? He pulled back, surprised. Why? Because if she's your friend, I want to know her. Noah didn't know what to say to that. The board meeting in early December was unavoidable. Aurora had to attend, no excuses. She'd been off treatment for 3 days trying to regain enough strength to look functional. Noah helped her prepare, went over reports, ran through potential questions, made sure she had answers ready for Marcus's inevitable challenges. You've got this, he said the morning of the meeting. Aurora adjusted her suit jacket, hands steadier than they'd been in weeks. I look like hell. You look fine. Liar. Okay, you look tired, but so does everyone this time of year. Blame it on the holidays. She smiled despite herself. You're getting good at this. At what? Lying. I prefer creative problem solving. Aurora's smile faded. She looked at him, something vulnerable in her expression. If this goes wrong, it won't. But if it does, then we'll deal with it, together. She held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. The meeting lasted 3 hours. Noah waited in his office, unable to focus on anything. When his phone finally buzzed, he grabbed it immediately. Aurora. Survived. Barely. Noah. Marcus give you trouble? Aurora. Tried. I shut him down. Noah. That's my girl. He sent it before he realized what he'd typed. Too familiar. Too personal. 3 dots appeared. Aurora. Careful, Hayes. People might get the wrong idea. Noah. Would that be so bad? The dots disappeared, reappeared, disappeared again. Finally, yes, it would. Noah stared at the message, something sinking in his chest. She was right, of course. Office gossip was one thing, but this, whatever this was becoming, was something else entirely. He didn't reply. That night, he picked Lily up from aftercare and took her to dinner at her favorite diner. She ordered pancakes and told him about the snowflake project they were doing in art class. We're making them out of paper, she said, mouthful of syrup. But real snowflakes are better. Yeah? Yeah, because they're all different. Mrs. Patterson says no two are the same. Noah smiled. That's true. Do you think people are like that too? Like snowflakes? Lily nodded, serious. I think so, Noah said. Everyone's a little different. That's what makes them special. Even you? Especially me, Lily giggled. You're weird, Daddy. Thanks, kid. After dinner, they drove home through the first real snow of the season. Lily pressed her face against the window, watching the flakes fall. It's pretty, she said softly. Noah glanced at her in the rearview mirror. She looked so small, bundled in her purple coat, blonde hair messy from the wind, his whole world right there in the back seat. Yeah, he said quietly. It is. When they got home, Vanessa was waiting on the porch. Noah's stomach dropped. He hadn't seen her in person since the divorce was finalized. She looked the same, dark hair, sharp features, perfectly put together, even in the cold. But there was something harder in her expression now, something that hadn't been there before. Mommy! Lily scrambled out of the car and ran to her. Vanessa hugged her, but her eyes stayed on Noah. Can we talk? Noah helped Lily inside, got her set up with a snack and a movie, then stepped back outside. Vanessa was leaning against the porch railing, arms crossed. What's going on? Noah asked. I need to take Lily for the holidays. That's not what we agreed on. Plans change. Noah's jaw tightened. You can't just show up and demand. I'm not demanding. I'm telling you. I have family coming in from California. They want to see her. You should have talked to me first. I'm talking to you now. Noah took a breath, trying to keep his voice level. Vanessa, we have a custody agreement. You can't just ignore it because it's convenient. And you can't just play perfect single dad when you're barely holding it together. The words hit harder than they should have. Noah stared at her. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know you've been struggling, missing work, running around at all hours. You think I don't hear things? From who? Does it matter? Vanessa stepped closer, voice softer now. I'm not trying to fight with you, Noah. I'm just saying maybe it's better if Lily spends more time with me right now, until you get your life sorted out. Noah's hands curled into fists. My life is sorted out. I'm taking care of her. I'm showing up, which is more than you've done. Vanessa's expression hardened. Don't. Don't what? Tell the truth? You want to talk about truth? Fine. You've been distant for months, even before the divorce. You think I didn't notice? You think Lily didn't notice? That's not fair, isn't it? Vanessa shook her head. Look, I'm not saying you're a bad father. I'm saying you're distracted, and Lily deserves better than distracted. Noah wanted to argue, to push back, but part of him wondered if she was right. He had been distracted. Between work and Aurora and everything else, there were moments when he felt like he was stretched too thin, barely keeping everything together. But he was trying. That had to count for something. I'm not giving you the holidays, Noah said quietly, but we can work out a few extra days. Let me know when your family's coming. Vanessa studied him, then nodded. Okay, thank you. She left without saying goodbye. Noah stood on the porch long after her car disappeared, staring at the falling snow. His phone buzzed. Aurora. You free tomorrow night? Noah. Depends. Why? Aurora. Charity gala. I need a date. Noah blinked at the screen. Noah. You're joking. Aurora. Do I joke? Noah. Fair point. Why me? Aurora. Because showing up alone looks weak. Showing up with someone looks strategic. Noah. And I'm strategic? Aurora. You're convenient. Noah laughed despite everything. Noah. You really know how to make a guy feel special. Aurora. Is that a yes? He thought about it. A charity gala meant donors, board members, press. It meant being seen with Aurora in a context that had nothing to do with work. It meant stepping into her world in a way he hadn't before. It was a terrible idea. Noah. What time? The gala was held at the Four Seasons, all marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Noah had rented a suit he couldn't afford and felt completely out of place the moment he walked in. Aurora was waiting in the lobby, and when he saw her, he forgot how to breathe. She was wearing a dark blue gown, simple but elegant, hair pulled back in a way that made her look softer somehow. She looked like herself, but also like someone he didn't quite know. You clean up well, she said. So do you. Aurora's mouth quirked. Shall we? They entered together, and immediately heads turned. Aurora didn't seem to notice. She moved through the crowd with easy confidence, nodding to people, shaking hands, smiling in a way that looked genuine but probably wasn't. Noah stayed close, trying not to look as uncomfortable as he felt. Relax, Aurora murmured. You look like you're about to be executed. I feel like I'm about to be executed. Just smile and nod. I'll do the talking. She introduced him to a dozen people whose names he forgot immediately. Donors, investors, politicians. Everyone wanted a piece of Aurora's time, and she gave it to them, measured and controlled. But Noah noticed the small things. The way her smile tightened when someone mentioned the company's fourth quarter projections. The way she gripped her champagne glass a little too hard when Marcus Chen appeared, all polished charm and pointed questions. Aurora, you look well, Marcus said, though his eyes said otherwise. I wasn't sure you'd make it tonight. Wouldn't miss it. Of course. Marcus turned to Noah. And who's this? Noah Hayes. He's managing the Hartwell account. Marcus's smile sharpened. Ah, yes. The account everyone else failed at. You must be quite talented. Just persistent? Persistence is underrated. Marcus turned back to Aurora. We should talk about the European expansion. I have concerns. Not tonight. It can't wait forever. It can wait until Monday. Marcus's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. Of course. Enjoy your evening. He walked away and Aurora exhaled slowly. I hate him, she said quietly. I noticed. He's going to be a problem. You'll handle him. Aurora looked at Noah, and for a moment the mask slipped. She looked tired, uncertain. Will I? Yeah, you will. She didn't respond, but her hand found his, just for a second. A brief squeeze, then she let go and turned back to the crowd. They stayed for another hour, danced once, awkward and careful, neither of them quite sure where to put their hands, ate overpriced food that tasted like cardboard, made small talk with people who didn't care about them. When they finally left, the cold air felt like relief. That was awful, Aurora said. Agreed. Thank you for coming. Any time. They stood on the sidewalk, snow falling around them, and for a moment neither of them moved. Noah? Aurora said quietly. Us, it can't be anything more than this. I know. I mean it. My life is complicated enough without… I know, Noah said again. You don't have to explain. Aurora looked at him, something conflicted in her expression. You're a good man. You deserve better than this. Maybe, but I'm here anyway. She smiled, sad and soft. Yeah, you are. She got into her car, and Noah watched her drive away. When he got home, Lily was asleep on the couch, Mrs. Chen dozing in the armchair beside her. He paid Mrs. Chen, carried Lily to bed, tucked her in. She stirred when he kissed her forehead. Daddy? Yes, sweetheart? Did you have fun at your party? Not really. Why not? Because the person I was with is sad, and I don't know how to help her. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then, eyes still closed, she murmured, Sometimes people just need you to stay, even if you can't fix it. Noah stared at her, throat tight. When did you get so smart? I was born smart, he laughed softly. Yeah, you were. The next week passed in a blur. Treatment, work, Lily's school play where she was a tree and took it very seriously. Noah juggled everything, barely sleeping, running on coffee, and sheer stubbornness. Aurora was getting worse again. The new treatment wasn't working as well as the doctors hoped. She didn't say it out loud, but Noah could see it. The way she moved slower, the way she sometimes forgot what she was saying mid-sentence. One night, he found her sitting in her apartment in the dark, staring out at the city. Aurora? She didn't turn. They want to try surgery. Noah's chest tightened. When? After the new year, if the next round of treatment doesn't work. And if it does, then maybe I get a few more months. Noah sat down beside her. You'll get more than that. You don't know that. No, but I believe it. Aurora finally looked at him, eyes glassy. I'm scared, Noah. I know. I don't want to die. You're not going to. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll be here. Whatever happens. Aurora leaned against him and he wrapped an arm around her shoulders. They sat like that for a long time, the city lights blinking below, the world spinning on without them. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not running. Noah tightened his hold. I'm not going anywhere. And in that moment, he meant it. The morning after the diner, Noah woke to 17 missed calls. He'd fallen asleep on the couch again, still in his clothes, and his phone was vibrating angrily on the coffee table. He grabbed it, squinting at the screen. All from Monica, Aurora's assistant. His stomach dropped. He called back immediately. Monica answered on the first ring, her voice tight with panic. Thank God, I've been trying to reach you for an hour. What's wrong? It's Ms. Vale. She collapsed at home this morning. The paramedics just took her to Mass General. Noah was already moving, grabbing his keys, his wallet. When? 20 minutes ago. I tried calling her emergency contacts, but you're the only one who answered. I'm on my way. He hung up and stood there for a second, heart hammering. Then he ran to Lily's room. She was still asleep, curled around her stuffed dinosaur. He hated to wake her, but there was no choice. Lily, sweetheart, wake up. She stirred, blinking up at him. Daddy? We need to go, right now. Get dressed. Something in his voice must have scared her because she didn't argue, just climbed out of bed and started pulling on clothes while Noah called Mrs. Chen. She picked up on the third ring, groggy. Noah, it's 6 a.m. I know, I'm sorry. Can you meet me at the hospital? I need you to take Lily. Mrs. Chen was immediately alert. What happened? Aurora collapsed. I don't know anything else. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Noah got Lily into the car, drove too fast through empty streets. She sat in the back seat, quiet and scared, clutching her dinosaur. Is Aurora okay? She asked in a small voice. I don't know yet, baby, but we're going to find out. Mass General was a maze of corridors and waiting rooms. Noah found the emergency department, gave Aurora's name to the woman at the desk. She typed something, frowned. Are you family? I'm her... Noah hesitated. What were they exactly? I'm the person she calls when things go wrong. The woman's expression softened slightly. She's being examined now. Someone will update you as soon as possible. You can wait over there. Mrs. Chen arrived minutes later, slightly out of breath, and took Lily's hand. Go with Mrs. Chen, okay? Noah said. I'll call you as soon as I know something. Lily hugged him tight. Tell Aurora I hope she feels better. I will. He watched them leave, then sank into one of the plastic chairs in the waiting room. Other people sat scattered around. A man with a bloody towel wrapped around his hand. A woman holding a feverish toddler. An elderly couple speaking in hushed, worried tones. Everyone waiting for news, for answers, for someone to tell them it would be okay. Noah stared at his hands and tried not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. An hour passed. Then 2. Finally, a doctor appeared, young, tired, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Noah Hayes. Noah shot to his feet. Yeah, that's me. I'm Dr. Reeves. Ms. Vale is stable now, but she gave us quite a scare. What happened? Severe dehydration, dangerously low blood pressure, and exhaustion. Her body's been through a lot with the treatment, and she's not giving it time to recover. Dr. Reeves pulled off her glasses, rubbed her eyes. She needs rest, real rest. Not working from home or taking calls between appointments. Actual recovery time. She won't listen. Then someone needs to make her. Dr. Reeves looked at him seriously. Mr. Hayes, I don't know what your relationship with Ms. Vale is, but she listed you as her emergency contact. That tells me you matter to her, so I'm asking you to help her understand that if she keeps pushing like this, the next collapse could be much worse. Noah swallowed hard. Can I see her? She's sleeping now, but yes, in about an hour. Noah waited. When they finally let him in, Aurora was awake, propped up against pillows, an IV in her arm. She looked small in the hospital bed, vulnerable in a way he'd never seen. You look terrible, she said when she saw him. Noah almost laughed. That's my line. Great minds. He pulled a chair close to the bed, sat down. You scared the hell out of me. I scared myself. Aurora's voice was quiet, rough. I woke up on the bathroom floor with paramedics standing over me. I don't even remember falling. The doctor says you're pushing too hard. The doctor doesn't understand what's at stake. Aurora. If I slow down, if I show any weakness, Marcus will use it against me. The board will start questioning my ability to lead. Everything I've built will still be there when you're healthy enough to run it properly, Noah interrupted. But it won't matter if you're dead. Aurora flinched. Don't. Don't what? Tell you the truth? Noah leaned forward. You collapsed, Aurora. Your body is telling you to stop. You need to listen. I can't afford to stop. You can't afford not to. They stared at each other, the tension thick between them. Finally, Aurora looked away. I don't know how. How to what? How to stop? How to rest? How to let go? Even for a little while. Her voice cracked. I've been running for so long, I don't remember what it feels like to stand still. Noah took her hand and she gripped his fingers like a lifeline. Then I'll teach you, he said quietly. Aurora's eyes filled with tears. Why are you doing this? Because you matter, and because someone needs to. She didn't respond, just held his hand tighter. The hospital kept Aurora for observation for 2 days. Noah visited every morning and every evening, usually bringing Lily after school. Lily would climb carefully onto the edge of the bed and tell Aurora about her day. The spelling test she aced, the boy who pulled her hair at recess, the art project involving way too much glue. Aurora listened with surprising patience, asking questions, making Lily laugh. And slowly, Something shifted between them. A tentative bond forming in the quiet moments between beeping machines and nurse visits. On the second evening, after Lily had fallen asleep in the chair, Aurora looked at Noah. "She's wonderful," Aurora said softly. "Yeah, she is. You're lucky." "I know." Aurora was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I never wanted kids. I thought they'd be a distraction, a liability, something that would take away from what I was building. And now? Now I think maybe I was wrong about a lot of things." Aurora glanced at Lily, something wistful in her expression. "She makes it look easy, being happy, being present. She's 6. Everything's easier when you're 6. Is it?" Aurora turned back to him. "Or do we just make it harder as we get older?" Noah didn't have an answer. When Aurora was finally discharged, she came home to the apartment she'd barely lived in for weeks. Noah had stocked the fridge, changed the sheets, made sure everything was ready. Aurora stood in the doorway, looking around like she was seeing it for the first time. "It's too quiet," she said. "You want me to turn on some music?" "No, I mean—" She stopped, searching for words. "It's always been quiet. I never noticed before. How empty it feels." Noah understood what she wasn't saying. The apartment was beautiful, expensive, perfectly designed. But it wasn't a home. It was just a place she slept between battles. "You could come stay with us," he said before he could think better of it. "Just for a few days, until you're stronger." Aurora stared at him. "Noah, I know it's weird, but my couch is comfortable, and Lily would love it. And honestly, I'd feel better knowing someone's keeping an eye on you. You've already done too much." "I disagree." Aurora looked at him for a long moment, something conflicted in her expression. Then she nodded, so slightly he almost missed it. "Okay, just for a few days." Noah's apartment was small and cluttered and nothing like what Aurora was used to. Toys scattered across the living room floor, dishes in the sink. Lily's artwork taped to the fridge in crooked, overlapping layers. Aurora stood in the doorway, taking it all in. "It's chaos," Noah said apologetically. "It's lived in." Aurora set down her bag. "I like it." Lily came running from her room, skidding to a stop when she saw Aurora. "You're here." "I am." "Are you staying?" "For a little while." Lily's face lit up. "You can sleep in my room. I have bunk beds, and I never get to use the top one, and—" "Lily," Noah interrupted gently, "Aurora's going to sleep on the couch." Lily's face fell. "Oh." Aurora smiled, and it was soft, genuine. "But maybe you can show me your room anyway?" Lily grabbed her hand and dragged her down the hall, chattering excitedly. Noah followed, watching Aurora crouch down to examine Lily's rock collection, her face serious as Lily explained the difference between granite and quartz. That night, after Lily was in bed, Noah made tea and brought it to Aurora, who was sitting on the couch with a book she wasn't reading. "Thank you," she said, taking the mug. "For what?" "For not making this weird." Noah sat down beside her. "It is weird, but that's okay." Aurora laughed quietly. "I suppose it is." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Aurora said, "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What happened with your ex-wife? You don't have to answer if—" "It's okay." Noah set down his mug. "We grew apart. Or maybe we were never really together in the first place. I don't know. She wanted a career, a life that didn't involve small-town domesticity, and I wanted—" He paused. "I wanted what I have now, a home, a kid, something simple. And she didn't? She thought she did. But somewhere along the way, she realized she wanted something else. Someone else." Noah's voice was even, matter-of-fact. "The divorce was her idea, but honestly, it was a long time coming." "Do you miss her?" "Sometimes, but not the way you'd think. I miss the idea of what we were supposed to be, the family we were supposed to build. But the actual person?" He shook his head. "No, I don't miss her." Aurora was quiet for a moment. "I've never been married, never even come close." "Why not?" "Because I never met anyone who felt worth the risk." She looked at him. "Until recently." The words hung between them, heavy with implication. Noah's heart stuttered. "Aurora, I'm not asking for anything, she said quickly. I just wanted you to know that you matter more than I expected. Noah didn't know what to say, so he just took her hand, and they sat like that until Aurora's eyes started to drift closed. Go to bed, Noah said gently. I'm fine here. Aurora. Okay. She stood, swaying slightly, and Noah steadied her. Thank you. For everything. Any time. She went to the couch, and Noah retreated to his room, but he didn't sleep. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Aurora in his living room, and Lily down the hall, and how his life had become something he didn't recognize but didn't want to change. The next few days fell into an unexpected rhythm. Aurora worked from Noah's kitchen table, taking calls and answering emails while Lily did homework beside her. Noah handled his own work remotely, fielding questions from the office and keeping the Hartwell account from imploding. In the evenings, they cooked together, or rather, Noah cooked while Aurora and Lily kept him company, asking questions and stealing bites of whatever he was making. After dinner, they'd watch a movie or play a board game, Lily usually winning because she had no qualms about bending the rules. It felt domestic, normal, like they were a family, even though they weren't. One night, Noah found Aurora standing in Lily's doorway, watching her sleep. You okay? He asked quietly. Aurora didn't turn. She's so small, so trusting. That's kind of the point of being 6. I keep thinking about what it would be like to have that. A child who looks at you like you hung the moon. Noah stepped beside her. It's terrifying and exhausting and the best thing I've ever done. Aurora finally looked at him. Do you think it's too late? For me? To have kids? To have any of it, family, a life outside of work. Something real. Noah thought about it. I think it's only too late if you decide it is. Aurora smiled sadly. You're an optimist. I'm a realist. There's a difference. They stood there for a moment longer, then Aurora pulled Lily's door mostly closed and headed back to the living room. Noah followed, and they settled on the couch with the TV on low. Can I tell you something? Aurora asked after a while. Always. I'm scared. Not just of the treatment or the surgery, but of what comes after. If I survive this, what then? Do I just go back to the way things were? 80-hour weeks and board meetings and pretending I'm invincible? Do you want to? No, but I don't know how to be anything else. Noah shifted to face her. Then learn. Try something new. Take a sabbatical. Delegate. Trust other people to carry the weight for a while. And if it all falls apart without me, then it wasn't as strong as you thought, but I don't think it will. You built something solid, Aurora. It can survive you taking a breath. Aurora looked at him, eyes shining. How did you get so wise? I'm not wise. I just learned the hard way that control is an illusion. The only thing you can really control is how you show up, and whether you let people in. Aurora reached for his hand, laced their fingers together. I'm glad I let you in. Me too. They sat like that, the city lights filtering through the windows, the apartment quiet except for the hum of the radiator and the distant sound of traffic. After a long silence, Aurora said, I need to tell you something, and I need you to not freak out. Noah's stomach tightened. Okay. The treatment's not working as well as the doctors hoped. They're recommending surgery. Soon. How soon? Next month. Maybe sooner if a spot opens up. Noah felt like the floor had dropped out from under him. And the risks? Significant, but the alternative is worse. Does the board know? No, and they can't, not until after. Aurora's grip on his hand tightened. If they find out before the surgery, Marcus will move to oust me. He'll say I'm unfit to lead, that the company needs stability. And he might be right. He's not right. Noah, he's not, Noah said firmly. You're the strongest person I know. And whatever you need to get through this, I'll help. We'll figure it out. Aurora's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve you. Yeah, you do. She kissed him then, sudden and fierce, and Noah kissed her back, all the fear and hope and desperate need pouring into it. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Aurora rested her forehead against his. This is complicated, she whispered. I know. I'm your boss. You work for my company. I know. And I'm sick and messy, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I know that too. Noah cupped her face. And I don't care. Aurora laughed, wet and shaky. You should. Probably, but I don't. They kissed again, slower this time, and Noah felt something shift between them. Something that had been building for weeks, maybe months, finally breaking free. When they finally settled back on the couch, Aurora curled against his side, her head on his shoulder. "What are we doing?" she asked quietly. "I have no idea, but I don't want to stop." "Me neither." They fell asleep like that, tangled together, the TV playing softly in the background. The next morning, Lily found them and announced very loudly that they looked silly. Aurora woke with a start, disoriented. Noah just laughed and pulled Lily onto the couch with them. "Are you guys dating?" Lily asked bluntly. Aurora and Noah exchanged a look. "It's complicated," Noah said. "That's what adults say when the answer is yes, but they don't want to admit it." Aurora actually laughed. "You're too smart for 6. "I know," Lily grinned. "So are you dating or not?" Noah looked at Aurora, raising an eyebrow. She took a breath, then nodded. "Yeah," Noah said. "I guess we are." Lily cheered, then ran off to tell her stuffed animals the news. Aurora stared after her, something between terror and wonder on her face. "Did we just—" "Yeah," Noah said. "We did. I've never dated anyone with a kid before. I've never dated my boss before." Aurora turned to him. "We're a disaster." "Probably. This is a terrible idea." "Most good things are." Aurora kissed him, and it felt like a promise. The surgery was scheduled for early December. In the weeks leading up to it, Aurora moved through her life with a kind of quiet determination. She worked less, slept more, let Noah and Lily pull her into their chaotic routines. They went to the park on weekends, to the children's museum, to dinner at restaurants where Lily inevitably spilled something. Aurora learned to laugh at the mess, to let go of the need for control, at least a little bit. One night, a week before the surgery, Noah found her sitting on his balcony in the cold, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the city. He grabbed his coat and joined her. "You okay?" "I'm thinking." "About?" Aurora was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "If something happens during the surgery, if I don't make it, I need you to promise me something." "Aurora, please, just listen." She turned to face him. "If I don't make it, I need you to promise you'll fight for the company. Don't let Marcus tear it apart. There are people there, good people, who depend on it, and I need to know it'll be in safe hands." "Nothing's going to happen. But if it does, then I'll do whatever you need," Noah said. "But Aurora, you're going to be fine. You have to believe that." "I'm trying." Her voice broke. "I'm really trying." Noah pulled her into his arms, and she clung to him, shaking. "I don't want to die," she whispered. "Not now. Not when I finally have something worth living for." "You're not going to die. I won't let you." Aurora laughed through her tears. "You can't control that. Watch me." They sat like that until the cold became unbearable, then went inside and climbed into bed. Noah held Aurora until she fell asleep, and even then he didn't let go. The night before the surgery, Aurora asked Noah to marry her. They were sitting at his kitchen table, Lily asleep down the hall, the apartment quiet. Aurora had been staring at her tea for 10 minutes, not drinking it, just turning the mug in slow circles. Finally, she looked up. "Marry me." Noah blinked. "What?" "I need you to marry me, before the surgery." "Aurora, just listen. If something goes wrong, if I don't make it, Marcus will make a play for control. But if I'm married, if you're my spouse, you'll have legal standing. You can fight him, protect what I built." Noah stared at her. "You want to marry me for legal protection?" "I want to marry you because I trust you, because you're the only person I know who won't sell out the second things get hard." Aurora reached for his hand. "I know it's insane. I know I'm asking too much. But Noah, I need this. I need to know that if I don't make it, the company won't fall into the wrong hands." Noah's throat was tight. "And if you do make it, then we'll figure it out, together." Aurora's eyes were desperate, pleading. "Please, Noah. I know it's not fair. I know I'm using you, but I don't have anyone else." Noah thought about it, about the absurdity of marrying someone he'd known for a few months, someone who was technically his boss, someone who was asking him to do this for all the wrong reasons. But he also thought about Aurora crying in his arms. about the way she listened to Lily's stories with genuine interest, about the way she'd slowly, carefully let him in, piece by piece, until he knew her in a way no one else did. And he thought about Lily, asking if they were dating, and the way Aurora had looked at her with such tender uncertainty. "Okay," he said. Aurora's breath caught. "Okay? Yeah, I'll marry you." She started crying, relief and fear and gratitude all tangled together. Noah pulled her into his arms, and she sobbed against his chest. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." "We'll make it work," Noah said, even though he had no idea how. "Whatever happens, we'll figure it out." Aurora pulled back, wiped her eyes. "I'm going to make this right. After the surgery, when I'm better, I'll—" "Don't," Noah said gently. "Don't promise anything. Just focus on getting through tomorrow." Aurora nodded, then kissed him, desperate and grateful and terrified. They spent the rest of the night tangled together, neither of them sleeping, both trying not to think about all the ways tomorrow could go wrong. And when the sun finally rose, cold and gray through the windows, they got dressed in silence and prepared to face whatever came next. The wedding happened on a Thursday in late February, in a small office downtown with cream-colored walls and fluorescent lights that hummed too loud. Noah stood in front of a judge he'd never met, wearing the same suit he'd worn to the gala, hands shaking despite his best efforts to keep them still. Aurora stood beside him in a simple gray dress, no veil, no flowers, her face carefully blank. Lily sat in the front row, legs swinging, watching them with wide, curious eyes. Mrs. Chen sat beside her, dabbing at her nose with a tissue, even though she kept insisting she wasn't crying. The judge was a woman in her 60s with reading glasses perched on her nose and a kind but efficient demeanor. She'd done this 1,000 times, and it showed. "Do you, Noah Hayes, take Aurora Vale to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Noah's throat was dry. He looked at Aurora, at the woman who'd asked him to do this impossible thing, and saw the fear she was trying so hard to hide. "I do." "And do you, Aurora Vale, take Noah Hayes to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Aurora's voice was steady, controlled. "I do." "Then by the power vested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I now pronounce you husband and wife." No one clapped, no one cheered. The judge smiled politely and handed them the marriage certificate, still warm from the printer. "Congratulations," she said, like she meant it. Noah signed his name, watched Aurora sign hers, and just like that, it was done. They walked out into the cold afternoon, and Lily ran up to them, bouncing on her toes. "Are you married now?" "Yes, sweetheart," Noah said. "We are." "Does that mean Aurora's my mom?" Aurora stiffened. Noah saw the panic flash across her face before she could hide it. "Not exactly," Noah said carefully, "but she's family now. Is that okay?" Lily thought about it, then reached out and took Aurora's hand. "Okay." Aurora stared down at their joined hands like she'd never seen anything like it before. Then, slowly, her fingers curled around Lily's. "Okay," she said quietly. Mrs. Chen insisted on taking them to lunch afterward. They went to a small Italian place in the North End, crowded and warm, the kind of restaurant where the owner knew everyone's name. Lily ordered spaghetti and got sauce all over her face. Aurora watched her, something soft and uncertain in her expression. "You're good with her," Mrs. Chen said to Aurora. Aurora blinked. "I'm not doing anything." "Exactly. Some people try too hard. You just let her be." Aurora looked at Noah, and he could see the question in her eyes. Was that true? Was she doing this right? He nodded. After lunch, they went back to Aurora's apartment. It had been decided, quietly and without much discussion, that Noah and Lily would move in. It made sense logistically. Aurora needed help, and Noah's lease was almost up anyway. But standing in the massive living room with Lily's dinosaur backpack in one hand and a duffel bag in the other, Noah felt the weight of what they'd just done settle over him like snow. "Your room's down the hall," Aurora said to Lily. "Second door on the right. I had some furniture brought in, but if you don't like it, we can change it." Lily ran off to explore, and Noah and Aurora stood in the quiet. "This is insane," Noah said. "I know. We just got married." "I know. And we're living together." "I know, Noah." Aurora rubbed her temples. "But it's done now, so we make it work. And if people find out the real reason, they won't. As far as anyone knows, we've been seeing each other quietly for months. The marriage is sudden, yes, but not unbelievable. People do impulsive things." "Do you?" Do impulsive things? Aurora almost smiled. Not usually. Lily came running back, eyes bright. There's a window seat and bookshelves, and the bed is huge. You like it? Aurora asked. I love it. Lily threw her arms around Aurora's waist, sudden and fierce. Aurora froze, arms hovering awkwardly, clearly unsure what to do. Then, tentatively, she hugged Lily back. Noah watched them, something painful and warm tightening in his chest. That night, after Lily was asleep, Noah and Aurora sat in the living room with glasses of wine neither of them was drinking. The board's going to ask questions, Aurora said. Let them. Marcus is going to make this difficult. He was always going to make things difficult. Aurora leaned her head back against the couch. I need to tell you something. Noah's stomach dropped. What? The surgery. It's scheduled for next month, March 15th. That's soon. I know. What are the odds? Aurora was quiet for a moment. 60-40, in my favor. That's not bad. It's not great either. Noah set down his wine glass. What happens if it doesn't work? Then we figure out the next step. Aurora, what do you want me to say, Noah? That I'm terrified? That I lie awake at night thinking about everything I'll lose? Her voice cracked. I can't think like that. If I start, I won't stop. Noah moved closer, took her hand. Then don't think. Just be here. Right now. Aurora looked at him, eyes shining. I don't know how to do this. Do what? Any of it. The marriage, living with you and Lily, letting people in. She swallowed hard. I've spent my whole life keeping everyone at a distance, and now you're here, and she's here, and I don't know the rules anymore. There are no rules, Noah said quietly. We're making this up as we go. That's terrifying. Yeah, it is, Aurora laughed, shaky and wet. What did I get us into? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. She leaned against him, and he wrapped an arm around her shoulders. They sat like that until the city lights blurred through the windows and exhaustion finally pulled them under. The next morning, Noah woke up on the couch with a blanket he didn't remember getting draped over him. Aurora was already up, dressed for work, moving through the apartment with her usual precision. You should have woken me, Noah said, sitting up. You needed sleep. So did you. Aurora didn't argue. She poured herself coffee, black, no sugar, and stared out the window at the gray morning. I have a board meeting at 9, she said. They're going to ask about us. What are you going to tell them? The truth, that we got married, that it's personal and none of their business. And if Marcus pushes, then I'll push back harder. Noah stood, crossed to her. You don't have to do this alone. Yes, I do. This is my company, my fight. Aurora, I need you to trust me on this. She turned to face him, and her expression was steel. I've been handling the board for 10 years. I know how to manage them. Noah wanted to argue, but he could see the determination in her eyes. This was her battlefield, and she needed to fight it her way. Okay, he said. But if you need backup, I'll call. She left 20 minutes later, and Noah got Lily ready for school. They fell into a rhythm. Breakfast, backpack, coat, shoes. Lily chattered about her spelling test, about the boy in her class who kept stealing her erasers, about whether penguins could fly if they really tried. Normal. Mundane. The kind of morning that felt impossible just a few months ago. When Noah dropped Lily off, she hugged him tight. I like living with Aurora, she said. She's quiet, but nice. Yeah, she is. Do you like her, Daddy? Noah crouched down, eye level with his daughter. Yeah, sweetheart, I do. Like her? He smiled. Maybe. Lily grinned, then ran off to join her friends. Noah sat in the parking lot for a long moment, staring at his phone. He had emails to answer, calls to make, a client meeting at 11. But all he could think about was Aurora, sitting in that boardroom, facing down men who wanted to tear her apart. His phone buzzed. Aurora. Meeting over. Still employed. Noah. Marcus behave? Aurora. Define behave. Noah. Did he try to stab you? Aurora. Only metaphorically. Noah. I'll take that as a win. Aurora. Barely. Noah started to type a response, then stopped. Instead, he called her. She answered on the second ring. I'm fine. I didn't ask if you were fine. You were going to. Okay, fair. Noah leaned back in his seat. What happened? Aurora sighed, and he could hear the exhaustion in it. Marcus congratulated me, very publicly, very pointedly, then asked if my sudden marriage would affect my commitment to the company. What did you say? That my personal life and my professional life are separate, and he should worry about his own commitments. Bet that went over well. He smiled. Which is worse than yelling. Noah's jaw tightened. You want me to talk to him? And say what? I don't know. Something intimidating. Aurora actually laughed. You're sweet. But no, I can handle Marcus. I know you can. Doesn't mean you should have to. There was a long pause, then Aurora said quietly, Thank you. For what? For caring. It's been a while since anyone did. Noah didn't know what to say to that, so he just stayed on the line, listening to her breathe, until she had to go. The first few weeks of marriage were strange and awkward and surprisingly mundane. Aurora worked long hours, coming home late with her shoulders tight and her face drawn. Noah handled Lily's routines, cooked dinners that Aurora picked at, tried to give her space when she needed it and company when she didn't. Lily adapted faster than either of them. She claimed the window seat in her room as her reading spot, left her stuffed animals scattered across the living room, asked Aurora questions about everything from tax law to why clouds were white. Aurora answered patiently, precisely, like Lily was a tiny adult worth taking seriously. One night, Noah found them sitting together on the couch, Lily curled against Aurora's side, both of them reading. Aurora had her hand on Lily's shoulder, absent and gentle, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Noah's chest ached watching them. Daddy, come read with us, Lily called. Noah joined them, and they spent the next hour like that. Three people who barely knew how to be a family, trying anyway. In early March, a week before the surgery, Noah woke in the middle of the night to find Aurora's side of the bed empty. They'd been sharing a room for appearances, though they kept a careful distance, neither quite sure how to navigate the intimacy of sleeping next to someone they barely knew. But tonight, the sheets were cold. Noah found her in this kitchen, sitting at the island in the dark. Can't sleep? He asked. Aurora didn't turn. I keep thinking about everything that could go wrong. Noah poured himself a glass of water, sat down beside her. Want to talk about it? Not really. They sat in silence for a while. Then Aurora spoke, so quietly he almost missed it. What if I don't make it? Noah's throat tightened. You will. But if I don't, what happens to the company, to Lily, to you? Aurora, I need to know you'll be okay. Noah turned to face her. We'll be okay. But you're going to make it. You're the toughest person I know. I'm scared, Noah. I know. I don't want to leave. Not now. Not when I finally... She stopped, swallowed hard. Not when I finally have something worth staying for. Noah reached for her hand. Then don't leave. Fight like you always do. Aurora looked at him, tears streaming down her face. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You are. And if you're not, I'll be strong enough for both of us. She leaned into him, and he held her while she cried, silent and shaking, all the fear she'd been holding back finally breaking free. When she finally pulled away, her face was blotchy, her eyes red. I look terrible, she said. You look human. Same thing, Noah smiled. Yeah, I guess it is. The night before the surgery, Aurora asked Noah to drive her to the office. I need to see it, she said. One more time, just in case. You're coming back, Noah said firmly. I know, but just in case. They drove through the empty streets, the city quiet under a clear, cold sky. The Valerie's tower stood dark and silent, a monument to everything Aurora had built. They took the elevator to the 19th floor. Aurora walked through the halls slowly, touching the walls, the furniture, like she was memorizing it all. When they reached her office, she stood at the window and stared out at the city. I started this company with nothing, she said. Just an idea and a laptop and way too much coffee. Everyone said I'd fail, that I was too young, too inexperienced, too female. She smiled bitterly. I proved them wrong. Built something real, something that mattered. It still matters. Does it? Aurora turned to face him. I've spent 10 years building this empire, and for what? So I could die alone in a hospital room while strangers fight over the pieces? You're not alone, and you're not going to die. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Aurora crossed to him, stopped inches away. Why are you doing this, Noah? Really? You could have walked away a dozen times, but you didn't. Why? Noah thought about it. About all the late-night drives and quiet conversations. About the way she'd looked at Lily with wonder and fear and hope. About the person he'd discovered beneath the armor, brilliant and broken and braver than she knew. Because somewhere along the way this stopped being about obligation, he said quietly, and started being about something else. What? He hesitated, then said the truth. Because I care about you, more than I probably should. Aurora's breath caught. Noah, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know, before tomorrow. Aurora stared at him, something raw and vulnerable in her expression. Then she kissed him. It was desperate and messy and nothing like he'd imagined. Her hands fisted in his shirt, his arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer. She tasted like coffee and fear, and something he couldn't name. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Aurora rested her forehead against his. I'm terrified, she whispered. I know. I don't want to lose this. Lose you. Lose Lily. You won't. Promise me. I can't promise that. Then lie to me. Noah pulled back, looked her in the eyes. You're going to make it through tomorrow. You're going to wake up and you're going to be fine. And then you're going to come home to us, to me and Lily, and we're going to figure out what the hell we're doing together. Aurora's eyes filled with tears. You're a terrible liar. I know. She kissed him again, softer this time, like a promise, like a prayer. They drove home in silence, hands clasped between them. The surgery was scheduled for 7 in the morning. Noah sat in the waiting room with Lily, who was being unnaturally quiet, clutching her stuffed dinosaur. Mrs. Chen had offered to take her, but Lily had insisted on coming. I want to be here when Aurora wakes up, she'd said. So they waited. Hours crawled by. Noah tried to read, to distract himself, but the words blurred. Lily colored in a workbook, humming softly. At noon, a nurse came out. Mr. Hayes? Noah shot to his feet. Yes? The surgery went well. Dr. Patel will be out shortly to speak with you. Noah's legs almost gave out. She's okay? The doctor will explain everything. The nurse left, and Noah sat back down, hands shaking. Lily climbed into his lap. Is Aurora okay? She asked. I think so, sweetheart. Good. I want to show her my drawing. Noah held her close, throat tight. 20 minutes later, Dr. Patel appeared, a small woman with tired eyes and steady hands. The surgery was successful, she said. We removed the tumor and preliminary pathology looks good. She'll need follow-up treatment, but the prognosis is positive. Noah couldn't speak. He just nodded, over and over, relief crashing through him. She's in recovery now. You can see her in about an hour. When they were finally allowed in, Aurora was awake but groggy, her face pale against the white sheets. She saw Noah and Lily and tried to smile. Hey, she said, voice rough. Hey yourself. Noah pulled a chair close, took her hand. Lily climbed onto the edge of the bed, careful not to jostle anything. I made you a drawing. She held up a picture of 3 stick figures, one tall with dark hair, one medium with messy blonde hair, one small with a big smile. They were standing in front of a house with a crooked door and lopsided windows. That's us, Lily said. Our family. Aurora stared at the drawing, eyes filling with tears. It's perfect. You're in the middle because you're the most important. Aurora let out a wet laugh. I don't know about that. I do. Lily looked at her seriously. You're important to us. Right, Daddy? Noah's throat was too tight to speak. He just nodded. Aurora looked at him, then at Lily, then back at the drawing. Thank you, she whispered. Lily curled up carefully against Aurora's side, and Aurora wrapped an arm around her, slow and gentle. Noah watched them, his wife and his daughter, and felt something settle in his chest, something that felt dangerously close to hope. Aurora stayed in the hospital for 3 days. Noah brought Lily to visit every afternoon, and they filled the sterile room with stories and laughter and Lily's endless questions. Aurora answered them all, patient and engaged, even when she was clearly exhausted. On the third day, Marcus Chen showed up. Noah was getting coffee when he saw him in the hallway, heading toward Aurora's room. He intercepted him before he could reach the door. "What are you doing here?" Noah asked. Marcus smiled, cold and polite. "Visiting my colleague, is that a crime?" "She's recovering. She doesn't need stress." "I'm not here to cause stress. I'm here to express concern." "Right." Marcus's smile sharpened. "You don't like me much, do you, Mr. Hayes?" "Not particularly. The feeling's mutual, but like it or not, I'm on the board, and I have a responsibility to ensure the company's leadership is stable." "Aurora's stable." "Is she? She gets secretly married, disappears for a major surgery, and now she's bedridden. Forgive me for being concerned about continuity." Noah stepped closer. "Let me make something very clear. Aurora built that company from nothing. She's earned the right to recover in peace. So whatever move you're planning, back off." Marcus studied him, expression unreadable. "You care about her. Genuinely." "Yeah, I do." "Interesting." Marcus adjusted his cufflinks. "You know, when I first heard about your marriage, I thought it was strategic, a power play to consolidate her position. But looking at you now, I think it might actually be real." "Does it matter?" "It does, actually, because real feelings make people vulnerable, and vulnerability is dangerous in our world." "Is that a threat?" "It's an observation." Marcus stepped back. "Give Aurora my regards. Tell her I hope she recovers quickly. The company needs her." He walked away, and Noah stood in the hallway, jaw tight, watching him go. When he returned to Aurora's room, she was sitting up, talking quietly with Lily about the book they were reading. She looked pale but alert, more herself than she'd been in days. "Marcus was here," Noah said. Aurora's expression hardened. "What did he want?" "To check on you, supposedly. And actually, to remind us that he's watching." Aurora was quiet for a moment. Then she looked at Lily. "Sweetheart, can you give Daddy and me a minute?" "Okay." Lily hopped off the bed. "I'm going to find the vending machine." "Take my wallet," Noah said, handing it over. When Lily was gone, Aurora turned to Noah. "Marcus is going to be a problem." "I know. The surgery bought me time, but it didn't solve everything. He's been waiting for an opening, and now he thinks he has one." "What are you going to do?" Aurora's eyes were sharp, determined. "What I always do. Fight. But I need you to be ready. This is about to get ugly." Noah sat down beside her, took her hand. "Then we'll handle it. Together." Aurora squeezed his fingers. Together. And in that moment, despite everything, Noah believed they could. Aurora came home on a Sunday afternoon when the light was thin and watery through the windows. Noah had spent the morning cleaning the apartment with Lily's enthusiastic but chaotic help. There were fresh flowers on the kitchen counter, Lily's idea, and soup simmering on the stove because Mrs. Chen had insisted that sick people needed soup, even if Aurora wasn't technically sick anymore. When the car pulled up, Lily pressed her face against the window, breath fogging the glass. "She's here!" Noah opened the door, and Aurora stepped inside slowly, moving like someone still learning to trust their own body. She looked thinner, more fragile than he'd ever seen her, but her eyes were clear. "Welcome home," Noah said. Aurora glanced around the apartment, at the flowers, at Lily bouncing on her toes, at Noah standing there like he didn't know what to do with his hands, and something softened in her expression. "It's good to be back." Lily ran to her but stopped short, suddenly careful. "Does it hurt? If I hug you?" "A little, but I don't care." Lily wrapped her arms around Aurora's waist, gentle but fierce, and Aurora held her close, eyes closing. Noah watched them and thought about all the ways a family could be built, not through biology or tradition or any kind of plan, but through the small choice to stay, over and over, even when it was hard. Over the next few weeks, life settled into a rhythm that was almost normal. Aurora worked from home, taking calls and video meetings from the couch, while Lily did homework at the coffee table. Noah handled the office, running interference with Marcus and keeping the Hartwell account stable. Richard Hartwell had actually sent a card when he'd heard about Aurora's surgery, gruff and brief, but genuine. "Tell your wife she's tougher than half the men I know," the card read. And tell her to get back to work so I can yell at someone competent." Aurora had laughed when Noah showed it to her. "I think that's the nicest thing he's ever said to anyone." But beneath the surface, tension was building. Marcus had been quiet since the surgery. Too quiet. Noah knew it was the calm before the storm, and he wasn't wrong. The emergency board meeting was called for the first week of April. Aurora got the email at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. She read it twice, face going pale, then handed her laptop to Noah without a word. The subject line was clinical. Special session re leadership continuity. Noah scanned the email. Marcus had called the meeting, citing concerns about Aurora's ability to lead, given her recent health issues. He was proposing a temporary transition of power to a committee while Aurora recovered fully. "He's making his move," Aurora said quietly. "Can he do this?" "If he has enough votes, yes." Noah set the laptop down. "What do you need?" "I need to fight, and I need to win." The meeting was scheduled for Friday morning. Aurora spent the next 3 days preparing, calling in favors, shoring up alliances, building her case. Noah watched her work with a kind of awe. She was relentless, precise, every bit the CEO who'd built an empire from nothing. But at night, when Lily was asleep and the apartment was quiet, Aurora let the mask slip. "What if I lose?" she asked one night, curled against Noah on the couch. "You won't." "But what if I do? Marcus will dismantle everything I built. He'll restructure, fire people, gut the company for profit. Then we'll figure it out. You'll start something new." Aurora laughed bitterly. "I don't have it in me to start over." "Yes, you do. You're the toughest person I know." "I'm tired, Noah. So tired." He pulled her closer. "I know, but you don't have to do this alone. Not anymore." Aurora was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "I love you." The words hung in the air between them, fragile and enormous. Noah's breath caught. "Aurora, I know it's complicated. I know we did this all backwards. But somewhere in the middle of everything, I fell in love with you. With the way you show up. The way you don't run. The way you look at Lily like she's the whole world." Her voice cracked. "I needed you to know. Before Friday. Just in case." Noah turned to face her fully, taking her hands in his. "You're not going to lose. But for the record, I love you too. Have for a while now." Aurora's eyes filled with tears. "Yeah?" "Yeah." She kissed him, and it was different from the desperate kiss in her office before the surgery. This was steady, certain, a promise neither of them knew how to put into words. When they finally pulled apart, Aurora rested her forehead against his. "Whatever happens tomorrow, you're going to win," Noah said firmly. "I believe that. And if I don't, then we'll burn it down and build something better." Aurora smiled despite the tears streaming down her face. "You're insane." "Probably, but you married me anyway. Worst decision I ever made. Liar." She laughed, and the sound was bright and broken and real. Friday morning arrived cold and gray, the sky threatening rain. Aurora dressed in her sharpest suit, charcoal gray, tailored to perfection, the armor she wore into battle. Noah straightened her collar, and she stood still, letting him. "You look terrifying," he said. "Good." Lily came out of her room, already dressed for school, and stopped when she saw Aurora. "You look pretty," she said. Aurora crouched down, careful of her healing incision. "Thank you, sweetheart. Are you nervous?" "A little. My teacher says when you're nervous, you should think about something that makes you happy." "That's good advice." Lily thought for a moment, then hugged Aurora tight. "Think about us." Aurora held her, eyes closing. "I will." Noah drove Aurora to the office. They didn't talk much during the drive. There wasn't much left to say. But when they pulled up to the building, Aurora didn't get out right away. "Thank you," she said, "for everything, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do." Aurora leaned over and kissed him, quick and fierce. "I'll see you later." "You better." She got out of the car and walked into the building without looking back, shoulders squared, head high. Noah sat there for a long moment, then pulled out his phone and texted her, "Go get them." The reply came almost immediately. "I will." The board meeting lasted 4 hours. Noah tried to work, but he couldn't focus. He kept checking his phone, waiting for updates that didn't come. Finally, at 2 p.m., his phone rang. "Aurora?" "It's over." Her voice was rough, exhausted. "I won. Barely." Noah exhaled, relief crashing through him. What happened? Marcus presented his case, very thoroughly, very convincingly. Half the board was nodding along. Then I reminded them that I've never missed a quarter, never failed to deliver, and that my personal health is none of their concern as long as the company thrives. She paused. Then I told them if they wanted to remove me, they'd have to buy me out, all 43%, for triple the market value. Noah laughed. "You didn't." "I did. Called their bluff. Turns out none of them want to cough up that kind of cash." "So they voted to keep you?" 11-4, Marcus was furious. "I bet." Aurora was quiet for a moment, then softer. "I'm coming home. We'll be waiting." When Aurora walked through the door that evening, Lily ran to her, and Aurora caught her, spinning her around despite the pull of healing muscles. "You did it!" Lily cheered. "I did it." Noah crossed to them, wrapped his arms around both of them. Aurora leaned into him, exhausted but victorious. "I need a drink," she said. "I'll pour." They ordered takeout and ate on the floor of the living room, Lily chattering about her day while Aurora listened with a small, content smile. After dinner, Lily insisted on showing Aurora the dance she'd learned in gym class, which involved a lot of spinning and nearly knocked over a lamp. "She's going to hurt herself," Aurora said, but she was laughing. "Probably," Noah agreed. When Lily finally wore herself out and fell asleep on the couch, Noah carried her to bed. When he came back, Aurora was standing at the window, staring out at the city lights. "You okay?" he asked. "I keep thinking about what would have happened if I'd lost today." "But you didn't." "I know, but I could have. And that's terrifying." Aurora turned to face him. "I spent so long building walls, keeping everyone out. I thought that made me strong. But it just made me lonely." Noah crossed to her, took her hands. "And now?" "Now I have you and Lily, and I don't know how to do this, how to be someone's wife or someone's stepmother, or anything other than the woman who runs the company. But I want to learn." Her voice broke. "I want to try." "Then we'll try. Together." Aurora kissed him, slow and deep, and Noah pulled her closer, feeling the steady beat of her heart against his chest. "I was so scared," she whispered against his mouth, "that I'd die without ever knowing what this felt like." "You're not going to die. Not for a long time." "You don't know that." "No, but I believe it." Aurora pulled back, looked him in the eyes. "Move into my room. Really, move in. Not just for appearances." Noah's breath caught. "You sure?" "I'm sure." That night, they fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time in months, Noah slept without nightmares. Spring turned to summer, and life continued to surprise them with its mundane beauty. Aurora went back to the office full-time, but she set boundaries that shocked everyone. No meetings before 9, home by 6, weekend sacred. Marcus grumbled, but he didn't push. He'd lost the fight, and he knew it. The Hartwell account continued to thrive. Richard Hartwell even invited Noah and Aurora to dinner, where he spent 2 hours complaining about every other vendor he worked with, while his wife apologized repeatedly. "He likes you," she'd said to Noah. "He only complains to people he respects." "That's terrifying." "That's Richard." Lily finished first grade with straight A's and a note from her teacher that said she was inquisitive to the point of exhaustion. Aurora had laughed so hard she'd cried. In late June, Vanessa showed up at the apartment unannounced. Noah answered the door and his stomach sank. He hadn't seen her in months, hadn't even thought about her much. She looked the same, but different, something harder in her expression. "Can we talk?" she asked. "Now's not really a good time." "It's important." Noah stepped outside, closing the door behind him. "What's going on?" Vanessa crossed her arms. "I'm moving to California for work." Noah's chest tightened. "When?" "Next month." "And Lily?" "I want to take her with me." The words hit like a punch. Noah stared at her, trying to process. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. This is a huge opportunity for me, and I want my daughter with me." "Our daughter, and we have a custody agreement." "Agreements can be modified." "Not without my consent." Vanessa's expression hardened. I'm her mother, Noah. I have rights. So do I. And Lily's happy here. She has friends, a school she loves, a home with a woman who's barely been in her life for 6 months. Noah's jaw tightened. Aurora's been more present in the past 6 months than you've been in the past year. That's not fair, isn't it? You left, Vanessa. You chose your career over your family, over Lily, and now that I've built something stable, you want to take it away? I made mistakes, I know that, but I'm trying to fix them. By uprooting Lily's entire life, Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. I miss her, Noah. I miss being her mom. And I think this could be good for both of us. A fresh start. Noah softened slightly, but his resolve didn't waver. I'm not saying you can't be part of her life, but taking her across the country isn't the answer. She needs stability, consistency, not another upheaval. And if I fight you on this, then we'll go to court, and you'll lose. Vanessa stared at him, and something in her expression crumbled. When did you get so hard? When I had to, for her. Vanessa nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. Can I at least see her before I go? Of course. But Vanessa, think about what's really best for Lily, not what's easiest for you. She left without another word. When Noah went back inside, Aurora was standing in the hallway, clearly having heard everything. You okay? She asked. I don't know. You did the right thing. Did I? Or did I just blow up Lily's relationship with her mother? Aurora crossed to him, took his face in her hands. You protected your daughter. There's nothing wrong with that. Noah leaned into her touch. What if she takes me to court? Then we'll fight, and we'll win, because Lily belongs here, with us. The certainty in Aurora's voice steadied him. He kissed her forehead, then went to check on Lily, who was in her room drawing another family portrait. This one had 4 figures now: Noah, Aurora, Lily, and a small stick figure labeled Mrs. Chen because, as Lily explained, she's family too. Noah sat down beside her, heart full and aching. Can I ask you something, sweetheart? Okay. If Mommy asked you to move to California with her, would you want to go? Lily set down her crayon, thoughtful. Would you and Aurora come too? No, it would just be you and Mommy. Lily frowned. I don't want to leave you, or Aurora, or my friends. Even if it meant seeing Mommy more? I like seeing Mommy, but I like living here more. Lily looked at him with those 2 wise eyes. Is Mommy mad at me? No, baby, she's not mad. She just misses you. I miss her too, but I don't want to move. Noah pulled her close. Then you don't have to, I promise. Vanessa did take him to court, but the fight was brief and anticlimactic. The judge reviewed the custody agreement, listened to both sides, and ultimately ruled in Noah's favor. Lily's life was stable, her needs were being met, and uprooting her would cause unnecessary disruption. Vanessa was granted extended visitation during holidays and summer breaks, but Lily would stay in Boston. When Noah told Lily, she hugged him tight and said, Good. I didn't want to go anyway. Aurora, who'd been standing quietly in the doorway, smiled. That night, after Lily was asleep, Noah and Aurora sat on the balcony with glasses of wine, watching the city lights shimmer in the summer heat. You know, Aurora said quietly, a year ago, I never would have believed this was possible. What? This, us, a family. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I thought I'd die alone in a hospital bed, and the only thing people would remember was the company I built. Not me, just what I made. And now? Now I know that's not true. I'm more than the company. I'm your wife, Lily's stepmother. I'm someone who gets to come home to people who actually care if I'm okay. Her voice broke. I'm someone who gets to stay. Noah wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. Yeah, you are. They sat like that for a long time, the night warm and quiet around them. In August, Aurora's follow-up scans came back clear. The relief was staggering. Noah held her while she cried in the doctor's office, tears of joy and exhaustion and overwhelming gratitude. When they got home, Lily made a banner that said, Aurora is healthy, with glitter and stickers, and they hung it in the living room even though it clashed with everything. It's perfect, Aurora said, staring at it with shining eyes. It's terrible, Noah corrected, but we love it anyway. That weekend they took Lily to the beach. It was Aurora's idea, surprising everyone. I've never been to a beach, she'd admitted. Not really. I was always too busy. So they packed the car and drove to Cape Cod, rented a cottage for the weekend, and spent 2 days doing absolutely nothing productive. They built sandcastles and collected shells and ate ice cream that melted faster than they could lick it. Lily buried Noah in the sand and laughed so hard she got hiccups. Aurora stood at the water's edge, letting the waves wash over her feet, and Noah joined her. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For reminding me there's more to life than work." Noah took her hand. "You're welcome." They stood like that, watching the horizon, while Lily chased seagulls and shrieked with delight. In September, on a quiet Saturday morning, Noah found Aurora in Lily's room, sitting on the edge of the bed while Lily slept. "You okay?" he asked quietly. Aurora looked up and her eyes were wet. "She called me Mom yesterday." Noah's breath caught. "What?" "We were making dinner and she asked if I could pass the salt, and she said, 'Thanks, Mom,' without even thinking about it." Aurora's voice shook, and I didn't know what to say. I just stood there like an idiot. Noah sat down beside her. "What did you do?" I told her she didn't have to call me that if she didn't want to, that Aurora was fine. And she looked at me like I was crazy and said, "But you are my mom, aren't you?" Aurora wiped her eyes. I didn't know it was possible to feel this much. Noah wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Welcome to parenthood." Aurora laughed through her tears. "It's terrifying." "Yeah, it is." They sat there together, watching Lily sleep. And Noah thought about all the broken pieces that had somehow come together to make this. A failed marriage and a terrifying diagnosis and a desperate proposal that should never have worked. But it had. Against all odds, it had. By October, the leaves were turning, and the city was painted gold and red. Noah and Aurora celebrated their first anniversary. Not the rushed courthouse wedding, but the night they'd first kissed in her office, the night everything had changed. They went to the same diner where they'd had coffee after Aurora's first hospital scare, sat in the same booth, ordered pie they actually ate this time. "You know," Aurora said, "I never thanked you properly." "For what?" "For saving my life." Noah shook his head. "I didn't save your life, the doctors did that." "No, you saved my life." Aurora reached across the table, took his hand. "You reminded me I had something worth fighting for, that I wasn't alone. You gave me a reason to stay." Noah's throat tightened. "You would have fought anyway. That's who you are." "Maybe. But I wouldn't have won. Not without you." They sat in comfortable silence, hands clasped, the years ahead of them uncertain but no longer terrifying. When they got home, Lily was waiting with Mrs. Chen, and she'd made them a cake. It was lopsided and covered in too much frosting, but it was the most beautiful thing Noah had ever seen. "Happy anniversary!" Lily cheered. Aurora pulled her into a hug, and Noah joined them, wrapping his arms around both of them. Later that night, after Lily was asleep and the apartment was quiet, Noah found Aurora standing at the window, staring out at the city like she had so many times before. But this time, she wasn't alone. He stood behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, and she leaned back against him. "I used to look out this window and feel empty," Aurora said quietly, "like I was watching life happen to other people. But now I'm part of it. The mess and the chaos and the impossible beauty of it all." She turned in his arms, looked up at him. "Thank you for giving me this." "You gave it to yourself. I just stood next to you while you did." Aurora smiled, and it was bright and real and unguarded. "I love you, Noah Hayes." "I love you too." They kissed, slow and deep, the city lights glittering around them. In November, Lily's school had a family art show. Every student had created a piece about what home meant to them. Lily had made a collage, photos and drawings, and bits of fabric glued onto poster board in a messy, colorful explosion. There was a picture of Noah making pancakes, a drawing of Aurora at her desk, a photo of the three of them at the beach, windblown and laughing, ticket stubs from the aquarium, a napkin from the diner, bits of ribbon from Lily's birthday party. At the center, in Lily's careful handwriting, were the words, "Home is where people stay." Noah stared at it, throat tight. Aurora stood beside him, silent, her hand finding his. "She gets it," Aurora said quietly. What really matters. Yeah, Noah said. She does. That night, they hung the collage in the hallway, right next to the terrible glitter banner, and every time Noah walked past it, he felt something settle in his chest, a kind of peace he'd never thought he'd find. December came with the first real snow, and the city transformed into something magical. Noah and Aurora took Lily ice skating at the Common. Lily fell approximately 17 times and laughed every single time. Aurora, who claimed she'd never skated before, was surprisingly graceful. Hidden talent? Noah asked. I took lessons when I was 8, once. That counts. They skated until their fingers were numb and their cheeks were red, then went home and made hot chocolate with too many marshmallows. Lily fell asleep on the couch, still in her coat, and Aurora covered her with a blanket. She's going to wake up confused, Noah said. Let her sleep. She's happy. Noah pulled Aurora close, and they stood there watching Lily breathe, the Christmas lights twinkling on the tree they'd decorated together, all of them arguing about whether the star should go on top or an angel. I never thought I'd have this, Aurora said. Have what? Everything. A family, a home, a reason to slow down. She looked up at him. I spent so long thinking success meant building something untouchable, but this, she gestured to Lily, to the messy apartment, to the life they'd built together. This is what success actually looks like. Noah kissed her forehead. Yeah, it is. On Christmas morning, Lily woke them up at 6 a.m., shrieking about presents. They stumbled into the living room, exhausted and happy, and spent the next hour drowning in wrapping paper and ribbon. Lily got the art set she'd been wanting, plus books and clothes and a stuffed penguin she immediately named Professor Waddles. Noah gave Aurora a framed photo of the three of them from the beach, all windblown and laughing, captured by a kind stranger they'd asked to take it. Aurora stared at it for a long moment, eyes shining. It's perfect. You say that about everything we give you. That's because it's always true. Aurora gave Noah a watch, simple, elegant, engraved on the back with the date they'd met. So you never forget, she said quietly. I couldn't if I tried. They spent the rest of the day in pajamas, eating too much food and watching Christmas movies Lily had seen 1,000 times. It was ordinary and messy and absolutely perfect. That night, after Lily was asleep, Noah and Aurora sat by the tree, the lights casting soft shadows across the room. You know, Noah said, a year ago, I thought my life was over. Divorce finalized, barely holding it together, no idea what came next. And now? Now I know that sometimes the end of one thing is just the beginning of something better. He took her hand. I know this started as something practical, a strategy to protect what you'd built. But somewhere along the way, it became real, Aurora finished. I know. I felt it too. Noah pulled her close, and she rested her head on his shoulder. I'm glad you asked me to marry you, he said. Aurora laughed softly. Even though I was terrifying about it? Especially because you were terrifying about it. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the lights blink on the tree. What do you think happens next? Aurora asked. I don't know, but whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Together. Together, Aurora echoed, and it sounded like a promise. The snow fell outside, quiet and steady, covering the city in a blanket of white. Inside, the apartment was warm and full of light, full of the small sounds of home. The radiator hissing, the clock ticking, the soft breathing of a child asleep down the hall. And for the first time in a long time, Noah Hayes felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Not because everything was perfect, not because the road ahead was clear, but because he'd learned that the best things in life weren't planned or controlled or built from blueprints. They were found in the spaces between the fear and the hope. And the choice to stay when leaving would be easier. In the small daily act of showing up for the people who needed you and letting them show up for you in return. Aurora had taught him that strength wasn't about never breaking. It was about breaking and choosing to heal anyway. And Lily had taught him that family wasn't about blood or tradition or doing things the right way. It was about the people who stayed, who chose you over and over, even when it was hard. In January, Aurora got her 6-month scans. Clear again. They celebrated quietly, just the three of them, with takeout and sparkling cider and Lily's off-key singing. Here's to staying, Aurora said, raising her glass. To staying, Noah echoed. To staying, Lily shouted, spilling cider on the carpet. They laughed, and the sound filled the apartment, bright and alive and real. Later, when Lily was drawing at the table and Aurora was reading beside her, Noah stood in the doorway and watched them. His wife, his daughter, his family. Not perfect, not planned, but absolutely, undeniably his. And that was more than enough. It was everything.